Now let's experience the full depth and detail of this computer build. Here we'll mount the monitors to the wall, but first we must locate the wall studs to prep our holes. Carefully plan your way forward because you get one go at it before it starts causing damage. Let's prepare the monitors to be mounted on the wall by removing their stands and installing the bracket mount. Attach any adapters if necessary. Then the wall bracket is ready to be hung. Properly secure the mounting arm to the wall. Now attach the connecting plate, and finally mounting the monitor to the wall. That's the first one. Just repeat the process on the second monitor. This monitor doesn't need an adapter to be hung, so just attach the connecting plate and mount to the wall. Properly secure the mounting bracket to the wall. Now attach the monitor and secure it to place. Mark and pre-drill holes to ensure the shelf has a straight alignment on the wall. Now we can put on the wall the acoustic foam padding that gives the room the studio look. Here we'll begin plugging in the necessary cords to power and operate the monitors. If needed, add cord extensions to each set, because for some reason these cords tend to be short. Deploy the power strip where it reaches all of the necessary cords. Always pre-plan any wall mount. Make sure to secure the package to the stud. Cable management is critical for a clean setup. If possible, hide all cables under the carpet along the wall crack. It's time for the monitor's backlit LED lights. But first you must construct the strips. A USB extension cable will be needed to reach the computer tower. Simply connect the cord to add 6 feet of additional length. Stick the adhesive side down onto the back of the monitor. Once complete, the wall has now been fully outfitted with technology. Note, there are different types of DVI cables, so make sure you're using the right type. Now we'll be building the computer tower. Study the power supply unit or PSU to understand what cables are needed for your build. At the moment, we'll introduce our hard disk drives, or HDDs, into the system. Since the hard disk drives are of similar grade and capacity, the system can be constituted into a disk mirroring setup. We can remove the second HDD cage because it won't be needed, and by doing so increases air circulation. Locate the screws to detach the cage from the case, but one of the 3 screws is hidden behind a front intake fan, which must be removed in order to gain access. Slide the cage out and reattach the fan. Keep any spare parts together for potential future use. On to the solid-state drives, or SSDs. The case comes with 3 SSD racks to hold the drives into position. The racks are easily removed and snapped back into place. Use the screws that come with the case to secure the drive to the rack, then snap them back into their position. Repeat the process with the second driver. Now for the case fans, these 3-pin 120mm case fans will be used to help regulate airflow. 2 will be inserted at the bottom of the case as intake fans. Organize the cords to locate the holes at the bottom. Tightly secure the fan into position, then move on to the next. However, the holes are covered by the first HDD cage, which will have to be temporarily removed. Once done, the cage slides off easily and the bottom holes are now exposed. Tighten into place and return the HDD cage back into its original position, along with the front bottom fan. It's time to build the CPU cooler in anticipation of its use. The CPU cooler can be attached to the ceiling of the computer case, where the third 120mm fan will serve as an outtake for heat exhaust. Screw both devices into position to ensure a tight fit. The cooler's USB plug-in is located underneath the head. Let's connect our fans now to the case wiring. On to the SATA cable, which is now taking up its position to power the hard disk drives. Here's where those extra cables with the motherboard come in use. Plug the angled head into the device to avoid any overlapping issues on the ports, but it can be done either way, so builder's choice. We'll need a second SATA cable to provide power to the solid-state drives. And the third SATA cable will be used to power the other accessories. Now we will install the motherboard. Plug in all SATA cables that go to the motherboard. This is the CPU backside brace that's secured with these double-sided screws. It's time for the CPU. Make sure to use the casing that was provided with the motherboard. Combine the two and attach to rightful place. Lift this handle to release the slack. Insert CPU, attach cooling head over the CPU. Connect cables. And secure into place. Plug in the 24-pin and 8-pin ATX power cord. Now the rear 140mm case fan will be plugged in. Here's our 32GB dynamic random access memory, or DRAM for short. Insert in correct slot A2 and B2, or gray and gray. Then clip into place. Next, plug in the case's audio cord, followed by the trusted platform module, then the Q connector with its accompanying cords, and the Fantech RGB LED adapter. Construct the case's first LED light strip. We're given the power options of a SATA or Molex cables. On this one, we'll use the Molex connector. We'll place the light strips in the case for safekeeping until needed later. On to the optical bay components. Starting first is the media card reader. Squeeze the handles to release the bay doors and insert the device. Secure into place with screws provided with the case. Moving on to the media disc player, which is powered by a Molex cable. Insert the DVD player into the optical bay and secure with the screws. Plug in the DVD SATA cable into the motherboard, along with the media card reader's 3.0 USB cord. Here's a 2.0 USB expansion header that provides 4 additional slots by using its USB cord plugged directly into the motherboard. Find a clear spot on the case's interior wall to stick the header on. Afterwards, plug it into the system and utilize the extra slots. Now the time has come to install the graphics cards. This comes our first GeForce GTX 1080 DDR5. This card comes fully loaded with 8 GB of processing power. At this moment, we'll install the thermal wire sensor onto the system, so the motherboard can gauge the case's interior temperature at the click of a button. Secure the thermal wire in an elevated position to best measure the air within. Turning back to installing the graphics cards, we have 4 remaining slots, but only 2 cards. This USB expansion card will be inserted in between the two 1080s and will provide additional USB exterior plugs, but also, more importantly, a 15-key SATA power and a 3.0 USB interior plug-in. And now the second GeForce 1080 graphics card will finish off the bunch. Once the two main graphics cards are installed, the bridge can be attached. And finally, powering the cards by plugging in the PCIe cords. Since all of the main components are in place, now we can finalize the case's LED strips by attaching them to the interior walls. Remove the paper to expose the adhesive to place where desired. Then plug the SATA power into the PSU. Next comes the second set of LED strips, but this time we'll power them with the SATA cables instead.